So this is it's called a stuffing box there. That's where the shaft goes through to the outside of the boat. And basically there's just some like graphite impregnated Teflon packing in there. You tighten it up and it's not supposed to drip. Well, the new stuff is virtually dripless. So virtually, whatever that means, but virtually means to me it's not actually dripless, it's just virtually dripless. So it's dripping right now like every 3 seconds, which it's not supposed to drip at all. And when it's running, it should drip like maybe 1 drip every 5 minutes, and this stuff's supposed to be less. So the whole way down the bay yesterday, I was taking on water. The bilge pumps were going off because when I'm running, it's water kind of gushes out of there. So I gotta tighten that up today, and hopefully it'll stop dripping. So I got a hot water heater on the boat, which is that thing right there. It runs off of electric, or it runs off of my radiator. So my coolant. So my coolant will get hot, and it'll pump it through this line, through the heater coil in there, heat exchanger in there, which will heat the hot water, the fresh hot water for the shower. Then it runs it back into here. It just cycles it. That's if the motor's running. If the motor's not running, it also has a electric heat element, which is 1500 watts, I believe. So I'm gonna have to get in the water and scrape the bottom today. So I'm gonna get some hot water since it's shitty, and I'm a baby. I like to take a hot shower. So I'm going to run the inverter to heat some hot water up. So what I do is I turn my inverter on. It's 2300 watts. Then I just flip the breaker on for the hot water heater, and it sucks some power down. So you'll see it start to drop. But it takes about 10 minutes. It takes about so I could probably go from 77% charge to like 65% charge, but it's well insulated, so the water will stay hot in there for a while. Probably about 15 hours or so it'll stay hot in there. There's a little indicator light right there, so when it reaches the desired temperature, it automatically shut off. I'll know when it's up to temperature when that light goes off. Right now it's using about 100 amps to heat up, so it's using a lot of power. So I try not to use it unless it's really sunny out. With my solar and all, I could put in about 15-20 amps an hour. So this is my bathroom, which they call a head. It's a wet head. A wet head means so I don't have a separate shower stall. So that grate under there, when I shower, the water collects under there. There's a pump that pumps out, a through hole that pumps it out into the water. And what I do is when I shower, this comes up, and I just stand right here and use this. So blah 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 blah, shower it up, and that's it. Just a wet head. So I shower like that in there, or if it's nice out, I have another one. I just I unscrew this, and it's got a hose, and I'll bring the shower head out there, and I'll just sit out in the cockpit and shower. And that's usually when everybody shows up. When you're at as soon as nobody's around, you take your clothes off, everybody seems to come by fishing. So, but that's how I shower on the boat. So it's been about 15 minutes, and you can see I'm already down at 60%. I have a lithium ion battery bank, so the batteries can I got a 400 amp hour bank, so I could use 90% of that is usable. If you have lead, you can only use half of your battery bank. So if you had a 400 amp hour lead battery bank, you'd only be able to use 200 of it. But since I have a lithium bank, I could use 360 amp hours out of my 400 amp hour bank. So we're down to 60%. It's been about 10 minutes. The water's hot enough for me. I am going to gonna shut it off so I don't use up so much of my battery, and that'll be that. I'm gonna jump off the side of the boat, scrape the bottom of the hull. So my motor, that's a Yanmar 3GM30F. It's 27 horsepower, and it pushes the boat about 5-6 knots in calm conditions. Here's my fuel gauge. So I hold about 90 gallons of fuel, and at 2200 RPM I can get about 5 miles on a half a gallon. So 10 miles a gallon of diesel, and I got about 90 gallons. So I can motor about 900 miles just on diesel alone with no sales. But what I do is I fill them cans up and I bring him to shore, let him out, go to fuel dock. He pisses and shits all over the fuel dock, and then I just lug them back and forth. That way I ain't got to pull the boat in and hit stuff and do all that stuff. I just lug the jerry cans back and forth. So that's about how much I get. That's about my range. So even if there was no wind, I could still go pretty far. 800 miles is pretty good. So I don't know how well you can see this, but this is where we're at here, Cape May. I was going to go up Nantucket, which is up here, and fart around up here for a little bit, but there's no wind for like 5 days, and then when the wind does come in, it's all south winds, which is good for me to get there, but it's not good for me to get home. I have an appointment on the 22nd I have to be back by, so I'm going to scratch that idea, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to sail all the way up the bay again, back through the C&D Canal, and meet some friends on their boats down here by the Chester River by Kent Narrows. So that's a bit of a hike, and I should be able to sail up the bay, but I got all south wind, so I'll have to probably be motoring down the Chesapeake. There's usually not a lot of wind on the Chesapeake this time of year anyway. But I'm gonna meet Dan and Dave and everybody, and we'll have a little flotilla going, a little boat rendezvous down the Chesapeake. So Nantucket will wait. I'll come back maybe 2 weeks or so, and we're going to sail up to Nantucket. We're going to hit Block Island, Nantucket, Martha's Vineyard, Provincetown, come through the the Cape Cod Canal, and then back home. So we're going to scratch that idea. We're going to double back right now and meet up with some friends. So I got to jump in and scrape the hull. I call it mowing the lawn. So boats will gather seaweed and barnacles and shit on the bottom of the hull, and it slows you down. So it's almost like mowing the lawn. What I do is I put my flippers on, my goggles, my snorkel. That way you don't get the paint in your eyes. And you gotta have a weight belt. You want to have enough weight where you're negative buoyancy, where you're not floating and you're not sinking. That way you can swim down. You're not using all your energy just to get underwater. And I just swim up the side of the boat with this or this, and just get all the growth off of it. And I dangle a line off the back so I can hold on to it when I need to rest. And that's it. I painted the boat in November, October, and I took it to the Bahamas and then sat in the slip for a while. So I'm not sure what kind of growth's on there, but I used the 65% copper load. So a little bit about bottom paint is there's all kinds of bottom paint. In my opinion, it's the copper that does the trick. All that other stuff is fungicides and this side and that, this, all just bells and whistles. It's the copper. So most paints are like 45% copper, 35%. You want to get the 65% shit. That's the good stuff. So the only thing I think about doing it here is that this is a no wake zone, but in New Jersey, boaters are pretty ignorant, I guess you'd say, or I don't know what you say, but they really don't honor this no wake zone. So I'll be under the boat and the boat will be bouncing up and down, hit me in the head. So it's kind of dangerous doing it here in New Jersey with the courteous boaters that throw monster wakes in the no wake zone. But that's it. That's what we're gonna do. We gotta mow the lawn, and then after that, my outboard stalled. So about a week ago in a storm, it sunk. So I rebuilt it twice. Thought it was good, and then it just stalled out again. So I got to take the carburetor apart, rebuild the carburetor, and that'll be the next chore. So I got this little outboard. It's a 4-stroke, brand new. Went underwater like 3 times. So it's got water in it, bad fuel or something, ethanol, fuel, shit, crap. But anyway, most of these little motors, when they start acting up, a way you can tell your carburetor is if you run it on choke, If it'll run on choke, then you know your carburetor is bad, or you got some sort of fuel issue, maybe fuel filter, or your jets are clogged. So I'm gonna take it apart, clean out the jets again. But that's a way you can tell. I'm not a small engine guru, but I know same thing with like lawnmowers and stuff. If it'll run on choke wide open, then usually it's your carburetor needs to be rebuilt. First thing we'll do is we'll pull the carb bowl off and take a look in there, see how clean it is. So it's just 2 screws. That'd be the carb bowl. Usually you'll tell there'll be a bunch of shit in here. So that looks pretty clean. I just cleaned it the other day. So I'm thinking something else now. Maybe my fuel filter is clogged, but so that's your jets here, and that's your float, and then you just you take them out. You blow that, get that straw from the carb cleaner, you blow in there, and then you have a jet right here. You take that out, and there's a tiny little like a needle valve in there. You take that out and you clean that out. That's pretty much it. You blow that carb cleaner in there, and you look through the carburetor. You'll see it coming through into the body. If it looks like it's coming in there nice and fine, then you know you're good. So I'm thinking I just got a clogged fuel filter or bad fuel still. And then that's the little valve, the little jet at the top. Man, that looks clean too. So, and then you just blow choke cleaner through all these little holes. Just make sure you can look inside, and you'll see you'll see where it comes in, a little bronze thing sticking up in there. That's one of the jets. You'll see it come through there. If it's coming through there nice, then you're good to go. So I'm thinking I just got a bad fuel or a bad fuel filter. Put it back together. It's always good to do this right where you eat too. Gasoline on the cutting boards is real good. So we're anchored up here at the Coast Guard training station. So I guess that's all the cadets there. Thank you, Coast Guard. Not much for authority, but Coast Guard is a wonderful people, wonderful organization.